Today we will be looking at melody writing for grade 6 UNISA theory of music. Now, today we will be specifically looking at the bass clef and a minor key example. So of course I have made two previous melody writing for grade 6 example videos before. They were both in the treble clef and one was major key, of course one was minor key. So we're continuing in the minor key thing today, but we are moving along to bass clef. So at grade 6 level, we know that we are supposed to be writing a 12-bar melody or completing a 12-bar melody. But I want to show you what it's like to go from a bass clef example that we had done before in my grade 5 melody writing video. I actually use this example. This one comes from the October 2023 grade 5 paper from UNISA directly. Now, at grade 5 level, you know, we're only asked to complete an 8-bar melody. So I'm going to take us through completing this 8-bar melody differently than I did in that grade 5 video. And then we're going to take the start of this melody and then say, hey, we don't want 8 bars, we actually want 12 bars. So how do we go from making something an 8-bar into a 12-bar melody? So this we are tackling today. Now I would suggest that you do go and watch grade 3, grade 4, grade 5 melody writing, as well as the other 2 melody writing videos for grade 6 that are already out there, because this assumes you know the things. So don't get lost with us now, we're diving deep into it. So of course, at the grade 5 level, we are asked to notate which instrument we are writing for, and in this case, I would write for bassoon. Coming from grade 6, understanding of melody writing, this looks so much easier, it looks so much less daunting. We do know that we have an upbeat bar over here, that's great. We have a bar 1, a bar 2, 3, 4, we have a 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, of course, first things first, we establish our key. Of course, this is A minor. We can tell because, you know, it starts on a G sharp to A, and there's nothing else happening over here key signature wise. So we're in 6/8 time. We know that our very last note needs to be the longest note value possible in 6/8 minus the upbeat. And of course, it needs to be on an A because we want a long tonic. I have jotted down my very answer to this now on the actual past paper. So please do go ahead and buy your past papers directly from UNISA. The publication link will be in the description below. Now, I haven't been one to buy memos actually. I kind of just do them myself, but you are also very free and welcome to buy these memos. Now, just a little heads up, when it comes to melody writing and even the 4-part harmony and stuff, the memos won't actually give you an example of what can be expected, because it'll just say maybe dominant 7th in the last bar going to tonic. Maybe it will give a little description of how the melody could go and how many marks you would get for adding meaningful articulation and dynamics, or how many marks you would lose for it if you don't have it there, that kind of thing. But actually buying the memos basically will detail everything that you need for, you know, isolated questions or scale writing or stuff like that. But when it comes to the more creative activities, it will be a rubric type thing, and usually handwritten, but it will not specifically give you something. So it won't be like this video, for instance. So that's just a little heads up there. Right at the end here, I want to go to a high A, so I'm going to go there. That's our longest note value, a dotted crotchet, tied to a crotchet. So what we do also know is that here in bar 3, we want a dominant. I mean, could be dominant 7th. When we know this from grade 6 level, that actually in our very first section, we do want to end dominant 7th tonic. But yeah, it's okay to end dominant tonic. We will end dominant 7th tonic the last 2 bars. So dominant 7th tonic, there will also be tonic. And of course, we do have this whole upbeat thing going for us, and we can phrase what they give us. So that's great. We need to fill in the upbeat to bars 3 and 4. We're going to do a copy paste of bar 1 into bar 5, a sequence of bar 5 and bar 6, and then dominant 7th tonic. Wow. And coming from a grade 6 understanding, this is like, oh my gosh, so easy, which is great. Then you almost wish you were doing the grade 5 paper again so that you can get 10%. But yeah, hindsight is always 20/20. When we look back, we say, oh my gosh, that work was so easy. One day you'll look back on this work and say it was so easy. Hopefully so. So what we're going to do is I'm going to think about what can precede the dominant. Now, of course, you need to outline your chords. I've outlined mine over there. So we're looking at this bar, which has a D and an F in it. So a D and an F could belong to the supertonic or the subdominant. And I'm just going to say, let's go subdominant vibe. So there we go. I don't even actually have to put the subdominant sign there, but hey, because I have grade 6 mind, I'm going to do it. So I'm also going to outline our dominant chord over here. And you'll notice that this is something we tackled in my previous video on this very example at grade 5 level. But now we're just answering it a bit differently. So this is another option for this question. So yes, if it seems familiar to you and if it sounds familiar when you play it, it's because I have done this before. Then we go to our tonic. But I actually want to copy paste a little rhythm that they're doing there. So a crotchet and 2 semiquavers and another crotchet. So I'm going to outline a tonic chord with A, C, E, and then end on A again. So that gives us that phrase. Our next part is already dictated for us because we just had to copy from the beginning. So we have a G sharp. We are going to go bar 1 is copied to bar 5. So this is the easy part. We don't even have to think. And it's going to sound so beautiful. Then we do a sequence. So we start on an A there. We're going to go to the high B. We'll put in all our articulations. And then we have dominant 7th going to tonic. I definitely would like to end going T-Do. It's not necessary, but it's very nice. It always reinforces things beautifully. So I'm going to start in the dominant. Actually there, the chord note. I'm going to go E, D, E. Then I think I'll just go up, F, G sharp, A. Now, we do know that going up and ascending in the minor form all the way to your tonic, we do like to have that F sharp, G sharp, because we raise 6, 7. But now we don't necessarily have to do that. Like I said, even at grade 6 level, you won't get penalized for not doing it. It just sounds better. For instance, if we were filling this in at the grade 5 level, I wouldn't expect you to even think about that just yet. So I'm gonna erase that. That can be an F natural, can be an F sharp. I think it's better for an F sharp, but because we're tackling this at a little bit of a lower level than grade 6, just for this exercise, you can take that out. So we're gonna phrase from here to the end, and that's that. I mean, we could add a tempo indication like andante or moderato. I actually like the moderato for this, but I'm just going to put andante there. And we say this is for bassoon. We can start with the mezzo piano because they don't give us any dynamics. In grade 6, they give us a dynamic to start off with, and then we go from there. But here, they don't give us anything. So we can literally put anything, but I want us to start with those moderate things. We can maybe go mezzo forte here. Then we're going to go mezzo piano. And then I think we can increase to mezzo forte once more. That's great. So let me play this for you on the piano, and then we're going to see, okay, what's the difference between this and then stretching that very same beginning into something that's not 8 bars anymore, but 12 bars long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And just to see what it would sound like right at the end, the last 2 bars with the raised F sharp as well, it would be this. Okay, so let's see what would happen if we just take the beginning and actually turn it into a 12-bar melody for our grade 6 level purposes for which we are on now. So we're looking at bass clef, minor key, grade 6, 12-bar melody writing. So I've prepared our board now with our 12 bars, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have 4 bars in line 1, that's our A section, the next 4 bars in line 2, our B section, and our final 4 bars in line 3, that's our second A section. So that's how we know where we are now. So we have bar 1, we definitely have an upbeat still, we have bar 2, 3, 4, that covers our first line. Then we have bars 5, 6, 7, 8 in our second line, and then we have 9 to 12 in our third line. So I think just to keep it nice and concise and nice and graphically and visually logical, it's good to have 4 bars, 4 bars, 4 bars. As you know, when you have your paper, you have free reign of where you want to put your bars, your bar numbers, and you need to fill in your own bar lines. You need to fill in your bass clef again and your key signature, every line. So that is up to you. We are now grown music students, so we actually have to do that ourselves. But to make it quite easy, I think it's good to divide your 12 bars into 3 groups of 4 bars each. It just makes sense. So you have an upbeat bar and 4 bars there, and then 4, 4. Perfect. So first things first, we're going to phrase what they give us, and they do give us up until here, and we need to then phrase an upbeat up until our end. We could also phrase from there to the end of our bar 4 before the upbeat to bar 5. So we have options there. So now I'm going to be fancy and subdivide our first line. Actually, I know I have previously said that it's very good and very basic, you can do it, to phrase your full A section, your full B section, and then your next full A section. Okay, but today we're going to do this. I know in my last video I subphrased the B section. Here we're going to subphrase this A section as well. So what we're going to do is already outline our chords. We're going to outline our chords in A minor because that's our key. We're going to outline our chords in C major because that's our relative key. And we only need the dominant 7th and the tonic thereof. Then we're going to outline our chords in the subdominant key of our key, which is A minor, and the subdominant thereof is D. So we're going to outline our 2 chords that we need, dominant 7th and tonic, in D minor as well. So that's what we need. We do know that right at the end, we need to end on a tonic. And why not just in the same way as we did with our 8 bars, our 8 bar melody? It's going to end like that. So that's already done for us. We're going to have dominant 7th here. We're going to have a copy paste of bar 1 and 2 into bar 9 and 10. So we do have an upbeat. So I'm going to put my G sharp there. I'm going to copy paste everything. We're going to include copying the articulation. There we go. We can even subphrase that. So that is there for us. Now we do know that we need to have a dominant 7th of our key here going to our tonic, and that's still in A minor. We know that over here we're going to go up to our relative major, which is C major, so dominant 7th up there, to tonic in C. We want to make it a big C so we know it's major. Then we're going to pass through D minor, which is 1 step up from C major, and is also the subdominant key of A minor. So we want dominant 7th there. We want to take note of all our accidentals or changes in different notes according to which key we're in. Then we're going to pass back through C major, which is our relative key of our original key. We want dominant 7th, and that's going to stay dominant 7th all the way here up until tonic over here. And then we know that we go back to A minor, and that's already outlined for us. And we've got our chords. Now we just need to decide what we want over here. And because we said this could be supertonic or subdominant when we were working with the 8 bars, same thing now, it doesn't change. I think I'm going to use supertonic. And of course, our supertonic chord in a minor key is a diminished chord. So I'm going to use a B over there. And we now need to try and copy paste the types of rhythms given to us, the articulations. So here I'm already guessing I'm not going to do any staccato vibes. They give us these slurs between certain note groupings, and that's really what I want to copy. So is my articulation precise? Is it concise? Does it form cohesion with what they've given us? Okay, so this can already be a quaver. There's nothing else I want to do with that bar. There's nothing else I can fit. And I think we're going to go over here. E, G sharp. There we go. Remember to indicate your G sharp. It is the raised 7th, and it's not obviously in our key signature. Remember, it's not just assumed that, okay, because we're in A minor, everything is going to be G sharp. You have to indicate it. Okay, and I know, well, I think I know that at this level I don't need to tell you that, but just in case. So I think I will use quavers, normal subdivisions in 6/8, and use our nice articulation of slurs that they give us. This is also a G sharp. You can indicate it. I have indicated it as such on my workings out. But because we're clever, like I said in our previous videos, you do not have to indicate it because that is a G sharp. but I mean, there's no harm in actually indicating it again. And then here, we're going to end almost like we do at the end, because we can end on an A, and that's quite fine. So this is a phrase in and of itself. Okay, so we want to go to the dominant of C, which is G natural, B, D. Also F, if you're thinking about the, seventh above the dominant chord. So, because that G is the root, but G also gives us an opportunity to naturalize something, we can have that G there. I think I like that. But also, we don't technically have to put that natural there, because this bar line would have cancelled that G sharp, but I'm putting that there just so that people know, oh yeah, we are changing key. Not 100% necessary, but we can do that. Then I think this very rhythm, the da, 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 da. So that I want to copy paste here. I want to do it just on the chord notes. I'm not going to have any non-chord notes here. I think this is the part where the modulating sequence begins, where you don't have to now think, okay, I need to have non-chord notes. You can just have chord notes there. It's quite fine. You can have extra and you can be extra, but this is actually fine in and of itself. So I'll go C, E, G, C. It's very boring, but it's just copying that rhythm that they've had for us in the beginning of part 2. And again, I will just indicate my G natural, but it doesn't really have to be indicated. So here, I might just leave that. There I indicated it already. Don't have to indicate it there, but I can. Now we just do a sequence. So G goes to A. That was upbeat to bar 5. Now upbeat to bar 6 is an A. Then bar 5 started on a C, so I'm starting on a D here. And basically it's D, F, A. Hey! And that is the tonic chord in D minor. So even though we're not explicitly thinking about chord notes here, because we're just doing a sequence, it does align with our chords. And it makes it a beautiful modulating sequence. So modulating sequence, in and of itself can also be subphrased. So I've got that for us. And there we're not going to do any slurs or other types of articulation, because there they've left it clean for us. So here, because I'm copying that rhythm, I'm leaving it clean, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to think of all these things at the same time. Then we need dominant 7th of C major now. Dominant 7th carries on to bar 7. And then bar 8 we're establishing C. Now, because I've already ended bar 4 on a dotted crotchet tied to a crotchet, and here same thing in bar 12, dotted crotchet tied to a crotchet, I'm going to do the same thing at the end of bar 8, just on the correct note, which is C. So that's fine. I've got that down, and then the rest of bar 8's already filled in, even 9 and 10. Wow. So now I just have to think of bar 7 and 11. So upbeat to bar 7, if I'm thinking about the chord notes of dominant 7th of C major, we have G, B, D, F. Great. And I mean, there's a note in common to what just came before, which was D. So I think I'm going to stay on that D just because. And then we'll move over. I want to go here, and I want to move up. Remember, there are options here, and it's really up to you. And because I'm ending on a C in bar 8, I want to go up but fall down to that C. Oh my goodness, there's so many things to think about. And because I have these quavers here, as they've articulated quavers before with a slur, I'm going to do that. And that is good. I have that there. So there is a non-chord note over here, an E, and it is actually on a main beat. Spicy. And then it goes to a chord note, and then so chord note. This is a non-chord note. Even though it is on a main beat, that's quite fine. It's surrounded by chord notes, so that's beautiful. And it falls down to a chord note of the next bar. Nice. So now we just need to think about our dominant 7th over here. Now, of course, we were thinking about our supertonic chord in bar 10, and we're just going to copy paste our upbeat B that we had going to bar 3. We're copying it going into bar 11, and now we just need a dominant 7th. I mean, you could say, oh, can't I just copy paste bar 3 there? You could, but that's kind of boring. We want something climactic at the end, or even anticlimactic if you want it to be, but it just needs to be different. Okay, so I think I'm going to stay on the B there, because those notes are in common between the supertonic chord and the dominant 7th. And I do want to end going up, like a little scale-like pattern all the way there. Okay, so I'm going to write that in. I'm seeing that they've had da da dum bum bum bum. I want to swap that rhythm right there in bum 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 bum. Of course, we need our raised seventh, and we would like our raised 6/7 at this point. So yes, an F sharp there would be fruitful, would be lovely. So we just need to adapt our articulation again, and I would say that this F sharp going to G sharp going to A, as you are rising in a whole scale, I mean, we're literally going from a B up in the A melodic minor scale up to A. For instance, it's a whole scale if the A was actually there and we went up. So when we think about a melodic minor, it is the form of a minor that comes up in a melody, and this is melody or melodic writing. So use the melodic form of the minor. I can say this to you that you're at grade 6 level. Please do use it because it makes the most sense. And if you've composed anything or even listened closely to your own music, you would know that this makes a lot of musical sense. Okay, and it's because it's based on the melodic minor scale, which is based on melodies. Yay! So we have that for us. The only thing is I didn't add a tempo indication, but it's something that they would give us at this level. We don't need to add it in. So say for instance it's a moderato for real this time, then they would have given us a dynamic indication. Let's pretend they gave us mezzo forte. Remember, I'm just adapting this beginning of a grade 5 example into being a grade 6 example. So there's certain things that the example itself didn't come with, but at a grade 6 level it will come with a tempo indication as well as a starting dynamic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go mezzo piano over here. So we start at mezzo forte, we go mezzo piano. You'll see we really like keeping it moderate. Then I'm going to go mezzo forte again from over here. And then as we are reaching the end, I want us to crescendo up to a forte on our last note. And I think that is that. Now, of course, I don't play bassoon. I don't play cello either. Yes, I do play bass recorder, and in my actual grade 5 video based on the start of a melody, I played bass recorder there. You know, earlier in the video now I played the bass line on the piano, and I'll just play this part on the piano for you as well, so that you can hear the difference between your 8-bar melody and your 12-bar melody, stretched out from the very same phrase, the very same beginning motive, the very same question. We can answer it differently. So I just wanted to show you that. We don't just have to look at, oh, grade 6 past papers, or oh, let me quickly find a grade 6 book or resource to find a grade 6 melody. No, you can actually take melodies or parts of melodies that have existed in questions before, but you just make it into a grade 6 question. So that's the smart thing about heading into this level of music. So I'm going to play this for us on the piano. Remember that all of this is an option. It's one option, and it might have felt like we're going very quickly through this now, but I know it does take a while. I've spent time, a nice while, on doing this melody myself, checking it, using the chord notes, playing it, all of that. It's stuff that you don't see, obviously, on this video. So do know that in your own time, when it takes time, when it takes longer than the span that it takes watching this video, know that it's natural, that it's normal. And it gets better, it does get easier the more you practice it, but you have to practice it, okay? There's no quick fire way around this type of work. It's very in-depth, it's very thorough, very systematic, our favorite music word. So take a listen to this 12-bar melody. That will wrap us up for completing a 12-bar melody in the bass clef in a minor key. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. have it. So I hope that that does help prepare you for your grade 6 melody writing component when it comes to the UNISA theory syllabus. And do be on the lookout for my final video on melody writing for this grade, and that will be the video on bass clef 12-bar melodies in a major key.